I'm Mike Huckman at the Bio Buzz Center, and I am pleased to welcome Jake Rader, who is the co-founder and CEO of a rather hybrid for-profit company called Celdara Medical. Thanks for joining us here at the Bio Buzz Center.
Thanks for having me.
What is Celdara Medical?
So Celdara Medical gives hope and health to patients by transforming academic innovation into medicines with the potential to cure the world's most challenging diseases. And so we partner really closely with academic innovators and their institutions to bring things from the lab to the clinic where they can impact human health.
Why did you create it though? What need are you filling that either venture capital or all of the incubators and accelerators that are out there, or the academic institutions themselves are not able to do?
So we are, in a sense, a riff on an incubator model. We do a lot of things differently. For one, our portfolio is managed and operated by us. We are the management team, and of course that's quite different than venture capitalists as well. We take on things that are very early. We can take on things that are very high risk because of our financial model, and we're looking for the highest impact, even if these are non-traditional modalities.
And how many things, since you created the company, have you looked at, and how many things have you decided to move forward, and what's the status of those things right now?
Fantastic. So in a typical year, we'll look at about 500 assets
Wow.
and put them through a formal diligence process.
With your team?
With the team. And those come from on the order of 50 academic institutions across the country and around the world. Of those, it's like any typical pipeline, maybe 10% of them will be flawless. We can't find anything wrong with them. But of course, that's far too many assets for a single company to take on in a single year. So we have partnerships with larger biotech and pharma companies, and they participate in our pipeline. Now, internally, separate from those pharma companies, we have funded 15 or so programs internally. A number of those are ongoing. We have 2 that have progressed into the clinic. We had a nice exit last year,
Nice.
and one of them is a diagnostic service that's actually in the market.
And interestingly, you and your team are embedded at some of the academic institutions, so it's almost like you get to see some of this stuff before anybody else does.
Yeah, so my co-founder is an academician, and we built the model around academic inventors. And because of that, we realized that there's really a role for mentoring on the commercial side of things. How do you do development? And so in the places where we have employees, we are embedded with the researchers, and we walk the halls and talk to them about what they're working on. And if they have a discovery or innovation, we make sure it gets to the tech transfer office so it can be protected, but we also give them advice as to how to increase the breadth or the value of their innovation.
So Jake, you talked a moment ago about the fraction of things that you've said yes to. What about all the stuff you say no to? Do you just let it die on the vine?
No, so we do our very best to find homes for everything, and these partnerships with large pharma companies are one example of that. It's very frustrating to find something that has a lot of clinical potential and we don't have the bandwidth or a particular skill set to advance. And so we have a number of those partnerships. Beyond that, if we do say no to something, we really pride ourselves on giving feedback. And that's vanishingly rare, it seems, in this industry, but when a researcher or their tech transfer office gets back a list of bulleted points about where this needs to be or where we think the flaws are, that gives them something to advance towards. And in many cases, we've given feedback and the tech transfer office has come back and said, well, the PI is just working on this now. And so then we're in a continuing conversation.
Why do academic researchers need that kind of feedback and or kind of the hand up that you give them?
Well, academic research is hard enough on its own, right? And so being an expert in the world in one particular discipline takes many, many decades of study. And then going out and folding in all the things you need to know to do development and to do clinical development as well is a whole different skill set. And so it's very difficult to imagine a single person with all of those skill sets at a level that you need to be in a highly competitive industry.
And to the extent that you can share, what's an exciting thing you're working on right now?
So there's 2 things we're talking about at this bio. One is a really exciting modality. It is a biologic that's inhalable. And in our preclinical models, it actually has regressed fibrosis in models of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis.
So not just stopped or
Exactly.
slowed down the progression, you've actually rewound the clock.
Yes, and so current drugs slow progression. If you can stop progression, that's a big deal. We've actually regressed fibrosis from the state of injury back to almost the non-injured state.
But early.
It's early stage, absolutely, but it's very exciting, and we've got a few partnerships in place, and we're always looking for more.
What's the second one?
The second one is actually an interesting anti-inflammatory antioxidant combination. It's a polymeric prodrug.
What's that?
What's that? So that's a big molecule, and it floats around the body, and when it finds oxidative stress, it gets broken down, it sops up the oxidative species, and releases anti-inflammatories just in that area, just in the amount that's needed.
And it would be potentially used in what setting?
There's a lot of disease indications, but the one that we're targeting first is renal transplant.
Interesting. So the theme of this year's bio meeting is the word imagine. So I'd like to end by asking you to fill in the blank, Jake. Imagine what?
Imagine that the $30 billion of R&D that NIH puts out in a year had a clear and efficient path to the clinic where it could actually have an impact on human health. And so Celdara Medical aims to be that preeminent path, taking academic discoveries efficiently through to the clinic where we can see whether or not they have the chance to improve human health.
Great. Jake Rader, the co-founder and CEO of Celdara Medical, thanks for joining us here at the BioBuzz Center.
Thank you, Mike.